Psychologists say that the child is the father to the man, but will the people really understand when explained to them the bittersweet of being a son?
Still, I always say, if you want to be controversial, just ensure that you don't trend for very bad reasons.
Right.
Coming of age and realizing, dang, you poor, and there are just some things you can't afford.
Okay. Me naitwa Khalif Kairo. That's my social media more parent than those names.
Okay.
But my real names are Joseph Kairo Amboy.
Okay.
This is the fate of a man whose childhood dream came true, and when he sat with kings, well, like Dube said it best, be good to the people on your way up the ladder, you're gonna meet them on your way down. Let's talk about Khalif and what most people are missing about the psychology of a fallen man. Oh, by the way, I'm Albertina and Mustang. Turn the TV off, turn the TV off. 1K subs, what's good? Thank you guys for subscribing. I'm at 1K. It's been a long time coming, but I'm glad to be able to see this. Thank God. And thank you. Subscribe, like, share, and let's do this, okay? Mr. Khalif is a very interesting gentleman psychologically. He begs the question, does poverty cause trauma? See, Joseph Wambui Kairo was born in Pumwani Hospital in Nairobi area in 1986. The intriguing part isn't even about his name, that is matriarchal in nature, showing off his Bantu cultural background. Nay, that's a story for another man. The intricity is the consensus agreement among Nairobians about the controversial state of being born in a maternity hospital like Pumwani, which is in fact a ghetto hospital, characterized by baby theft and its poor delivery services, all pun intended. Khalif points out that if he survived Pumwani hospital shenanigans, then he can survive anything. And hey, that is so true to some extent. But could we all have underestimated the post-traumatic stress that comes from survivors of the ghetto, its hospitals, and its culture? To add to this layer, Khalif grew up in one of Nairobi's poorest neighborhoods, Kawangware, right next to Nairobi's affluent estate, Lavington. The yin and yang of this is just never mind. While poverty is not a cause of trauma for affected adults, it's still a complex issue and can significantly increase the risk of childhood trauma. How? Increased stress. Yes. Khalif has pointed out in his interviews about his mother's constant worry as a small shop owner about profits, supermarkets opening up, making her customers run away, This constant worry creates chronic stress which might have negatively impacted young Kairo's mental health. Then, there's the possibility of him being exposed to violence at a young age, which he actually confirmed in his interviews. This too could have added to the complexity of his development, having to reconcile cruelty of the world as a youngin, when psychologists would agree that children are born kind and naive to the world around them. Actually, they don't have a false belief about anything. Everything's good for kids. Our dad neglectful tendencies. Wait, don't get me wrong. Kairo's dad wasn't really absent per se. He just lived in a different household than the one his mom, sister, and him lived in. Of course, he visited him often, but that doesn't take away the shadow of abandonment he might have felt when the head of the house wasn't around to establish and secure that father-child bond he might have craved for. This would later affect his relationships with women later in his manhood, but...
So, I mean, it's pathetic.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even think I can sustain a relationship. I find it to be difficult.
I'll expand on that later, okay? If I was doing a diagnosis, I'd emphasize that this would have led to his inferiority complex as a teenager. As Khalif was coming of age around the 2010s, he joined Dagoretti High School, a school that was just around the corner of his neighborhood. Beaches, that was the school nickname as I recall from my high school years, was a dope school. All the Nairobi boys wanted to go there because They were good at rugby, and the girls were definitely swooned by the boys from that school. But that's not the point. Khalif's problem was 99, and money was the biggest. He couldn't afford the lifestyle of a teenage boy with craving food hormones and zero cash in his pocket, while his peers, these brothers balled. Comparing himself to his peers who had more material possessions and opportunities can lead to feelings of inadequacy, inferiority, and a low self-esteem. So Khalif got in trouble a lot. I mean, he could write out his feelings if he knew how therapeutic it would be, but doing cars and planes was just fine for a boy like him. At least he had one thing, very big dreams for himself. A world of engines, whether fast cars or planes, it didn't matter. He was an artist, he could paint his life away. Due to the anxiety. I wasn't lost though. Growing up poor makes someone have good quality traits that I simply can't ignore. The young man that Khalif grew up to be, charismatic, outspoken, confident, and quite the entrepreneur that people claim to love, then hate. His confidence gave him a spot at Ocean Cross, a motor deal shop in the posh areas of Kilimani. But not the story of his resilience, deciding at 18 years old with no qualifications nor experience to ask for a job at the car shop. Child, it's the audacity of a white man for me. His willingness to learn and to take risks paid off with a hefty commission after selling his first car and proving to his doubting mom and his peers that, yeah, I'm the main. Well, psychology would point out the social learning theory that led to Khalif's first taste at big money. That is, individuals learn novel responses via observation of role models or social models, like his neighbor who led a cool life selling cars. Having paid attention to, because Khalifa said that he has good memory, and motivated by his neighbor, young Khalif was on his way to be a young tycoon, with some challenges that he had to overcome first, of course. Or you thought the road of your destiny was smooth on? Yeah, right. Like
I'm trending on Twitter.
Yeah.
Every time I trend, check how many cars we'll post. In fact, in our internal groups at Kampuni, you'll always see guys say, Kairo is about to trend, please let's push 10 cars zikuje juu kwa site.
With his rising fame and social position, Khalif was now the role model, the guy everyone was rooting for. I mean, he made business moves like capitalizing on social media as a marketing platform for his brand, Imports by Kairo, with two other gentlemen. His business or life principles like hard work and consistency, maintaining human connection, even as a boss, being innovative and creative, paid off. But not being too naive, not so much. Khalif would fall prey to his naivety after missing the lesson. Yahweh tells his people, former people perish for lack of knowledge. The gentleman's agreement he'd had with his colleagues, aka oral business contract, fell through, and he was forced to resign due to quote-unquote personal reasons. This adding to his abandonment issues because of the humiliation that his former associates put him through by calling him, I don't remember that word, but it wasn't so nice.
We show you inside. So welcome to Kai and Kairo.com Diamond Plaza office. Huku kitambo niliitwa commission director, but story for another day. Mungu ameturudisha huku.
Netizens being on his side during this whole debacle probably added to Khalif's now growing histrionic personality disorder. Histrionic personality disorder. Again, this is not a medical diagnosis. These are just my observation and my way of understanding him and explaining him to you. You get? This disorder is characterized by a pattern of excessive attention-seeking emotions. At this point in Khalif's career, most could understand his trolling on the internet to make sales because at the end of the day, it was business for Kairo. But was that what he told himself so he could sleep?
He used to trend all the time at some point.
whether he had drama or not. To him, it didn't matter whether the drama was negative or positive as long as it was publicity.
I don't know. This trait usually begins by late teens or early 20s. And remember, at this point, Khalif was already a millionaire. After the whole feud that left him almost broke and anxious on feeding his then newborn son. Don't get it wrong. People with this disorder are usually able to function at high level and can be successful socially and at work, making it hard for the individual to even recognize that they have it. I mean, look at me. His need for excess admiration could explain his now inflated ego and disregard for those he deemed beneath him at this juncture. I'll even argue that it was a case of the victim becoming the bully. Because, hurt people hurt people. Now that Kairo was up in the societal pedestal, he did now behave like the people who looked down on him was. Now he was the king. Get any and every girl that he probably wanted, and you shouldn't tell him SHIT. Corrupt a man's heart to the gift. That's how you find out who you're dealing with. The book by Morgan Housel, The Psychology of Money, gives a unique view on greed and knowing when to say enough. To more money and more wealth, because more money, more problems, how shit will take it. We used to be broken. The author puts it perfectly. Reputation is invaluable. Freedom and independence are invaluable. Relationships are invaluable. Happiness is invaluable. And your best shot at keeping them is knowing when it's time to stop taking risks that might harm them, knowing when you have enough. Enough is realizing that an insatiable appetite for more will push you to the point of regret. As Khalif independence venture Kai and Kairo was booming, Gen Z protests were looming, and nobody thought how his present vocal stance and the subsequent fallout of favor with the Gen Z would change Kairo's popularity and favor forever. Rumors have it that Khalif might have been paid by the Kenyan elites to change his rhetoric against their oppressors. Whatever it was, gray clouds were forming, and it was about to pour, more like stormy rain on the Kairo's household. See, Kairo's focus to elevate the aviation market of Kenya and Africa was good and on track, but this ninja lost focus on what really matters: relationships, experiences, and or personal growth, rather than solely pursuing wealth. This, to me, was Kairo's biggest miscalculation. This Twitter trolling marketing that was seen as genius at some point was starting to become the thorn in people's behind after some time. The very thing that he was leaning on to fly higher and higher and scale up in business was becoming his biggest nightmare. The people had turned on him. The crowds had come home to roost. Not even his charm or rap or controversial relationships could protect him from the impending lawsuit that had allegations of fraud. Wait, fraud and Khalif in the same sentence? Since when? The trolls were having a field day. Khalif, I would say, had loss of perspective. Housel argues that greed can cause people to lose perspective on what's truly important in life, leading them to sacrifice their values and well-being for the sake of accumulating more money, more problems. Did I mention that Khalif was Christian? I should have said that. But you all know, if you all know Khalif's story, you all know that he's the son of God, okay? A firm believer in the word of the Most High God. So how does a spiritual man like this, known for his business integrity, become accused of fraud? Well, Ecclesiastes 7:7 puts it best, and a bribe corrupts the heart. If the rumors were true, the fall of the house Kairo could be traced back to this very allegation. Add to the fact that God humbles the prideful. Khalif must have forgotten where he came from, and instead of being greedy, could have strived to feel content with what he had accumulated so far, so he won't forget the Lord his God to continue walking in God's favor. You can sleep with dogs and not expect to get fleas. At least that's what my mama told me.
sorry to say this, but I approach relationships like business. Me, I'm one of those people. If I see a good opportunity somewhere, I'll go for it.
Any opportunity.
Even in business, if I see a good opportunity, mi kufikiriangi mara mbili. If I say I want a branch at a certain location, I will do everything in my need to get it.
There are two extremes of how a man's behavior to women would pan out, influenced by the relationship he's had with a parent, say in this case, Kairo's dad. It will be either demonization of women or idealization of women. That's placing them on a pedestal, like Kairo did in the case of his controversial relationship with Sarah Imani.
Kairo, I appreciate you and I thank God for bringing you into my life. And you're beautiful in and out, and I don't care what people say about you. You're the most amazing person I know and I've come across.
But in the case of his baby's mom, Kairo has said that he wasn't courting the lady, but they were having a child. So I can see that there is a fear of commitment here. But he never missed to spend his available time with his son, just like his dad before him. Khalif was now a visitor in his son's home. A great dad, don't get me wrong, but he was reenacting his father-child dynamic because of lack of secure attachment with his dad. Fast forward to ceremony, and this ninja was trying to bribe the public with old cars, maybe I should say vintage, just for a point for his street girlfriend. That's what they called her. I'm just saying. A quick Google, search would have done the poem. I argue that he was seeking validation from the women. Why would I give cars away to the people who are trolling my woman for a poem to... Anyway, I can't imagine Khalif sitting there in his expensive office in the affluent places of Kilimani and calculating his business profits and comparing it to his woman. You can't manage a human being. Heck, you can't even manage yourself. Oh, I did forget to mention this interesting thing about a person with histrionic personality is that they are unable to cope with losses and failures. A person may change job often because of boredom and create new things of excitement. That could explain him jumping from controversial Sarah to Avinia, getting married within 4 months of knowing each other, and giving her the side eye when it turned out, wait, who's Mr. Way? And what do you mean by influencer with Mr. Way? But that's not the point, guys. In a way, Khalif's insecurity showed as he showered his women with money and boasted in social media. They ate him up, as they should. You reap what you sow, boy. And Khalif's contentious tweets were the karma that had been fed to his women through social media. Okay, sorry, yard back. It is what it is. Since his home foundation was shaking, he had all this money, but he couldn't buy his peers' respect. He couldn't buy love. He didn't fill up the needs of his soul. Couldn't buy him emotional intelligence. It's no wonder it trickled down to his business. The cheat codes he had allegedly used to finance his billion-shilling business were being exposed as a Ponzi scheme. Then the clients started suing, exposing their messages with the top car dealer company. They were begging for the items they had already paid millions for. Psychopathic. Yeah, that's the one. For a guy that advised others not to lose their human touch, his lack of emotions was ironic. The boss was fumbling the bag. Man, Khalif was crying sabotaged by the elite, that it was a setup against the underdog called Kairo, but couldn't play victim no more. He had become the monster that he had created. All that resentment he had harbored towards the mean guys who had booted him off his second gig had shown when he had gone and bought their former office after their business tanked. But the funny thing is, not funny, haha, but funny, haha. Kairo couldn't even afford to fill up the office. Maybe it's funny, haha. Psych. He needed millions that he currently didn't have to fill up the space. Talk about playing a losing game. His ego exposed its pride. He sadly was eating himself from the inside out. Yeah. That is my dark psychology analysis of Mr. Khalif Kairo. But all's not lost yet, okay? Don't give up on him yet. Don't give up on me yet. Kairo is a young man. He has the advantage of time and can change. That's the beauty of it. I believe for him that this too shall pass, but he has to take accountability and responsibility for his behaviors and remove the stick up his nyash. I beg. Be humble. Yeah? That's my point. That's my thought. Am I right? Let me know how you feel about this issue. Thank you for 1K. And God bless you and your home. And be humble because God loves the humble. And thank you for listening to me. Sure, you can go ahead and do whatever your heart wants. Bye.